Hi, my name is Teresa Fair-Field, and I'm an occupational therapist working with children, often with sensory processing differences. And one thing I get asked quite frequently is how to prepare the child for a trip away from home. One thing that we know is that parents can be accustomed to having a very organized and structured life for their child's comfort here at home, but they also want to be able to have a weekend getaway or travel visiting family. And those activities can be difficult because the expectations change and the environment changes. Those things can be upsetting for the child. So I'm often asked what to pack and how to proceed. What I would suggest, there's a lot of online resources about what to pack for any child going on a trip, but I think thinking about expecting that the child may need several short activities to perform in a car, train, or airplane, so that you can bring some novelty rather than expecting the child to persist with something for a very long period of time. Even if they're able to, for example, play with their Legos for quite some time at home, that behavior probably shouldn't be expected while you're traveling. So each activity may only last a couple of minutes. So thinking about ways to modify that over time so that your child has lots of novel things that they can adjust to keep their attention going throughout the activity. I think one of the most important things, whether you're staying in a hotel or a resort or somebody else's home, is to set up a routine the minute you get there. And it may be a very different routine than the one that you have at home, but try and keep those markers of eating, of sleeping, of activity similar. So even if you are traveling away just for the weekend and feeding is a challenge, set up a place where that occurs. And if you're staying with family, it can be difficult because often we try and insert ourselves into the family's routine as much as possible. So having those conversations with relatives in advance, when we get there, I'm going to need to set up a station for my child, or I'm going to need to set up an activity center for my child, can make that a little bit easier so that it doesn't feel quite so much like you're taking over the routine, but the child knows what space is there, knows what happens there, and is able to kind of plan in a similar way to what happens at home, that they have their own space, their own things, their own structure, even though it's away from home. Another thing I'm often asked is, how do I get back on my routine once we return? And the good news is that very often, if a routine is upset while you're traveling, the very best thing to do the minute you get back is return your structure exactly the same way it was when you left it. So returning your bedtimes to the same way they occurred, returning your meal times exactly the same. So in that way, let's say you're potty training, for example, or working on feeding goals. Maybe you took a break from that. Maybe the whole family took a break from those therapy goals during vacation. We certainly encourage you to do that. And then you can pick up right on those goals once you get back. And we tend to see that children can kind of separate, oh, that was a different experience over there, but now I'm back on track. And then they have the same level of expectation set up. And that works really well, picking up on whatever goals you had right when you return.